So, hello and welcome along to a very special edition of the Isolation Interviews. It's a Neighbours Special, and I'm joined by three fantastic guests. First of all, we have the fantastic Marley Williams. Marley, thank you for joining us again.
No problem.
We're also joined by the equally fantastic Riley Bryant. How are you, Riley?
Doing
I
well,
don't know
thanks,
about
Matthew.
equally.
Yeah,
And
much better.
Shut up.
And last but definitely not least, the fantastic Aiysha Salem-Towner. Sorry, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back.
It's an absolute pleasure. As I say, I thought this would be a fantastic group of, of you guys to have on this special. I mean, let's start off by talking a bit about kind of how you guys first came to meet. I mean, Aiysha, do you remember the first time you met the boys? How was that?
Oh my goodness, the first time. I think the first time I met Riley would have been at this like massive meeting we had right at the start. And yeah, none of us had been to studio before. Yeah, it was a bit awkward, I think, the first time. Everyone didn't really know each other. They were all kind of like, yeah, sussing each other out and introducing each other. But the first time I met Marley, I actually
I know,
don't
I
remember.
know. No, that was in that it was the day before. Like, do you know when we had that day? It was like before shooting where we just came on, or we came to set. Like, it was the day when
Oh,
before
Uh,
catering was organized and we ordered
yeah,
food from that one place.
yeah,
That was
and right
in the green room. That was the
that.
first day.
it was so long ago.
I
True, it
mean,
was like a
Yeah.
year and a half ago. That's
I mean,
crazy.
obviously for you, Marley and Riley, you both met obviously part of the casting for the Varga Murphys. So coming in as
Yeah.
brothers, that must have been quite nice to have each other's backs and kind of be because all of you started near enough at the same time. So to kind of be going on this adventure together must have been quite fun.
It
Well,
was
it wasn't really
definitely
like
you go,
it
you go.
was like that, but like it wasn't really like that because we talked for like 10 minutes at the casting and then like we didn't see each other get into the first day. So it's kind of like the first day was kind of like the first time like we really like properly had like a really good conversation.
But it was
Because
still
think
cool,
about
like
it.
going into this as four new characters as opposed to like one
Oh
new
yeah, yeah,
character
yeah, yeah,
joining
yeah.
an already established family.
Yeah, true. That would have been so hard, like, because we kind of could support each other like in the family.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I imagine, had any of you really seen Neighbours before? Because I know it's probably not quite your demographic, your age group, but had any of you seen much of it before?
A little bit. Yeah,
Um, my mum watched it.
Yeah, everyone's mum's watched it, but
yeah.
I had never watched an episode before. I mean, well, I looked at a few of the episodes before after I got the second call back, but nothing else after that. Before that.
And I mean, joining the Neighbours family, it must be such a, even though you hadn't necessarily seen it before, it must be such an honor because even if you haven't seen it, everyone sort of knows of Neighbours. It's one of those shows that I think everyone, you hear that name, you recognize it. So to kind of join the show and be part of that history must be quite exciting. I mean, for you, Riley, when you first, sort of got that role, found out you were joining, what was the first thought when you were, kind of going around set and meeting the rest of the cast? What was that like? Were you sort of were you phased by it, or was it quite like just natural, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, for the first few weeks of shooting, even though I couldn't believe I was actually on the set of Neighbours, because by that time I'd watched a few episodes and again, like I've always known that it's been a big show. Um, but even today, I still get some thoughts while I'm filming scenes. It's like, wow, I get to do this, and yeah, no, it's great.
And I mean, we've talked briefly about obviously, you guys have come in as a new family, but for you, Aisha, you've come in as part of one of the most iconic families on the show. Part of the Rebecca's. Toady, he is like one of the legends, and he's your dad on the show. Which I mean, is that strange to get your head around?
Um, I mean, at first, I guess it was a bit strange having suddenly calling this person who you've never met in your life dad and building that sort of connection that's believable. And because obviously we've seen Nell and Toadie grow up together on the show. But for me, I was meeting Ryan for the first time. And so trying to build, I guess, that, well, keeping that sort of connection between father and daughter was really important. And it was actually really easy once we started to get into it, because Ryan is just so amazing and so lovely. And workshopping, I guess, how the two interact now that Nell's a teenager was really, really fun.
And I mean, for you, Marley, I mean, I know that when I spoke to Naomi, who obviously plays Remy, she's very much quite a tactile person, very sort of touchy-feely. So she finds that whole kind of becoming a family overnight quite easy. Did you find that strange, having to suddenly become a family with people you hadn't met before? Was that weird?
I mean, I guess it was at the audition, but after that, it kind of just happened. And it's because I wouldn't like say like we're a family in like Offset. We're a family, but not in the same dynamic. Like I would say it like Offset, it feels like just four siblings. So
It's a great way to describe
Riley's
it.
just yeah, so it's kind of just like four siblings Offset. And when it's
Yeah,
on set, it's kind of just like that just helps it like we are a family, but it just helps like the connection's there, but not in
I think
the
it really
like
helps
same
helps
dynamic.
helps stand our chemistry out
Yeah.
against the other. Yeah,
So it's really easy to just like slip from siblings into mums and kids just like that. It's really easy, and that they make it so easy as well.
I mean, as I say, you guys are also lucky because I don't think, everyone on the cast, is amazing. You all seem to get on really well. And I mean, not necessarily even with people that you work with all the time. A lot of you, I mean, I know you were saying, Aiysha, that you get on really well with Magella, who plays Krista. And you don't get to do much with her on screen. But the fact that you've got a tight bond and you don't get to work together often is still a sign that the show is so that everyone gets on so well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I feel like even if like anyone hasn't had a scene with each other, everyone's just so close that I guess
Yeah.
when I hear that I haven't had a scene with someone, I'm like, what? I haven't? Like really? Like I can't believe it. Yeah, everyone's just kind of like a tight-knit family. It's really sweet.
It kind of feels like a scene in the green room. It's like talking to someone in the green room and you're like, wait, was that a fun scene, or are we just having a chat? And also it's because like Neighbours isn't one of those shows where, everyone's in different green rooms, like their own green room. There's a couple of green rooms for certain people, but there's basically one main green room and everyone's in the room. So it's not separated. Everyone, like you're there for an hour, like you can't really not talk to people and get to know them and be friendly. Like there's not really that option to be honest. So
and
it
that
just
also
helps
extends
everyone to
to. Sorry.
no go.
Okay, that also extends to like the crew members and the office members as well. Like it's not just the cast members that are so tightly knit with each other. Like you get a great opportunity to talk with the cast and crew and the office people who like I'm friends with now. Like it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like it's not that way in a lot of other shows, typically.
I,
Yeah.
th- I think the other thing as well that works really well for the show is that a lot of the directors now have been actors on the show. I mean, you're talking about Kate Kendall, Scott Major, obviously Ryan Maloney's now, directing as well. And because they've done the acting, they've been on the show, they kind of know how it works. So I imagine that helps with the process because they know what they're doing and they know what the actors want as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting to see who was going to respond.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah, I mean, always having that actor director connection is so important, I think. And I mean, we get so many directors coming in, and I guess you can, like, I watch scenes, I can tell that I had like a really deep conversation with that director about what was going on in Nell's head and how Nell, I guess, was feeling that time. I watch those scenes, I'm like, oh, that was really good. And I guess it's because we were able to connect on that level and talk, yeah, about character things.
There's always a big difference between having a director who comes from an acting background compared to one with like a cinematography or an editing background as well. With
Yeah.
the acting type directors, you always get like those extra talks and communication with them.
But also it kind of balances out as well because, it's just like wherever a director's really confident, it really shows in their
Oh,
episodes.
absolutely.
So if
Yeah.
they're really confident in that, if they're really confident in directing actors, you get really good acting. If they're really confident in directing cinematography and shots, you get really strong um cinematography. So it's just
Mm.
like it kind of balances out whatever it is.
Now, I mean, let's talk a little bit about kind of like a day in the life. So, I mean, for you guys, what is a typical day like for you? Say, for example, you're on set, sort of standard time. What's the journey like into work? What's that like? So we'll start with you, Marley. What sort of time do you have to get up? How close are you to the studios?
I want to talk about it. No, I live um a fair ways away. Um, about 2.5 hours.
Quite a long way to go.
2 hours on the train. No, 1 hour and 50 minutes on the train, and 40 minutes in the car. This is why I don't talk about this because I'm still recovering from last week. So
Or Marley.
I mean, Riley, for you, kind of, what's your journey time like when you go into work?
I don't want. I it was 10 minutes away.
Yeah. I live
Not
like
funny.
15 minutes away from the studios by car. And yeah, compared to poor Marley, 2 hours is rough.
It's
Um,
dedication, I would say. Dedication.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he's very dedicated. Yeah, there's been a time where it's just like when Marley couldn't get home because of the like the global
Oh,
outage that just happened.
Yeah.
the
So
trains
Marley
went
couldn't get
running.
back home, so he stayed over at my place. And then oh wait, no, you didn't go back to the work the next day. That was a Saturday. Anyway, he got to see like
Yeah.
how close it was, and it was, yeah,
What? Like
big culture
what? You
shock.
could like walk to work.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy to me. I'd be walking for days. That's crazy.
And for you, Aisha, what's your sort of travel time into work?
Mine's about 30 to 40 minutes. So like it's pretty good, pretty decent, not too quick, but also not an hour and 15 minutes. It's good,
That's
but
just on the train. You forgot the time from Southern Cross to the studio.
oh god. Yeah. I mean, I'm driving now, so the 40 minutes is great.
I mean,
Not
that's the
true,
great.
but
I was going to say, obviously, with the sort of the day. I mean, with makeup and stuff like that, do you guys have to go in for long, or are you guys sort of the fortunate ones that can kind of pretty much go in and out and be done in sort of 10-15 minutes? What?
me and Riley's makeup takes like 5 minutes. But sometimes, like, I've walked in at the start of the day, and Aisha's like, just walked into makeup, and then like I walk out, like I get my makeup done, I walk out, I sit down, do some work or whatever on my laptop, go get into costume, come back, do some more work on my laptop, wander by to where the schedules are, and Aisha's still in makeup. It's like,
I mean, I think what makes it like I think nail space buns is what usually takes the longest.
yeah.
Usually if her hair's just like out, it doesn't take too long. Apart from if I'm like chatting and we're talking and it's taking a bit longer because everyone's just vibing in the room. But yeah, it's the space buns that usually takes the longest.
I don't know, have the space buns aired yet?
Yeah,
Yeah. We've seen that.
Yeah.
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 The space buns are great. I love the space buns.
me
They're
too.
so cool.
So good.
And I mean, the other great thing as well is that because you guys are filming so much, you don't really get a great deal of rehearsal time. So do you have to kind of find time, if that makes sense, like sort of between takes to rehearse, or are you guys quite confident just going out and doing it? I mean, Marley, I'll come to you first.
My question is find time where? If I could find time, I would be finding it. But
Marley
no,
learns his scene 5 minutes before the scene starts.
that is not true. That is not true. I would not do something that unprofessional. I do not know what Riley's talking about. I did actually forget to learn my lines for a scene once though. That was no. Okay, what happened was like at the start of each week, I get like, I get my sticky notes and I just write out the numbers and I figure out which scenes I have. I like put my sticky notes on the scenes. Anyway, this one time I put my sticky note on the wrong scene and I highlighted it. I like learnt it. And anyway, I went in and they're like, all right, blah blah blah, we're shooting this scene now. I was like, oh, okay, that must be the scene that I know. I was like, okay. I didn't know the line, but luckily only had like 3 lines. But I was like, I don't think that's aired yet, though. I don't even think I've seen that. So I'll see if I did a good job. I think Riley knows what I'm talking about.
I know the scene you're talking about. Yeah.
So for you, Riley, what's your kind of process, obviously, with learning lines?
Yeah, so we get our scripts 2 to 3 weeks before we start shooting. And I like to start learning about a week and a half before we shoot, and then maybe get them down packed about 3 days before we do it. But obviously, while doing school and this, like, it's not an exact number. Like, I could learn the day before or a week before. It's
Learning
not really something solid.
learning the lines, like learning all your lines at the start of the week, like it's just there's so much. It's like it honestly it becomes unsustainable. Like when you get busy, it's like unsustainable to um learn your lines. Like when you have a busy week, you really can't learn your lines anything more than 2 days beforehand because it's just unsustainable. Like it's not you don't there's no time.
Yeah, well, when you have more scenes, you have more lines to learn, which means you have less time to learn all the scenes that you have.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
It's like
I was going to say for you, Aiysha, with learning lines, I mean, do you have to be quite good with admin? I imagine you have to be quite good with admin to remember where you're going. So how do you find it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've always found myself, like since I was young, being able to learn lines pretty quickly. But still, I learn it, yeah, the Saturday before we're filming, and then just refresh myself a night beforehand. But yeah, making sure, I guess, to remember to refresh my lines the night before, because I might have schoolwork to catch up on and having to do all that homework, and then suddenly it's 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I still need to do my lines. Yeah, it can be a bit tricky.
just no
And I mean,
work.
it must be quite nice that you've got, people that pros that have been doing this for donkey's years that you can lean on to get sort of help and support. I mean, I know you've said previously that Ryan's been great if you need to sort of like discuss anything. So to have those kind of, I don't want to say professionals because you're all professionals, but to have those people that have been doing it much longer and who kind of they've probably got, sort of tricks and ways of doing it, that must be quite helpful.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think everyone in the green room is really helpful. If anyone needs to learn lines, even if you're not in the scene with them, everyone will put their hand up and yeah, just I guess talk about the scene with you. And it's really nice just yeah, having that, and especially if the person you are doing the scene with, like say Ryan, it's great to just sit there, read the lines, talk about it maybe 5 minutes before we go onto set to kind of, I guess, make sure we're on the same page of where Nell and Toadie are at.
Now we must talk about the big storyline at the moment, which is the kind of the love triangle between your characters. I mean, I'll come to you first, Riley, and when you first sort of heard about this storyline, do you remember kind of what you thought of it, and were you quite because I was really impressed with the fact that Riley pretty much threw his feelings aside to look after his brother. So, what was your sort of thought process about that whole, not admitting to his feelings because he wanted to protect his brother?
Well, yeah, I liked that JJ was finally going in a new direction after two storylines of trying to find his dad. Um, what did I like about? Oh yeah, it was just something new and something to stretch my acting capabilities on. And of course, working with Marley and Aiysha on this storyline, yeah, great.
And I mean, for you, Marley, what was your sort of thoughts on this storyline? Because I know we talked about it previously, but when you're kind of getting to grips with it and kind of taking it on, what was your thought process?
You're talking to me? Sorry, my microphone
Yeah,
just disconnected. Wait, say that again.
So with regards to obviously the storyline and sort of getting used to the idea of the sort of the love triangle, what were you sort of thinking of it?
Um, I mean, firstly, I was just thinking like, come on, JJ, be honest about your emotions here. This is not gonna go anywhere that's helpful. Because like obviously Dex has got to eventually find out. And it's like why would he like why would JJ like because JJ knows Nell likes him. So Nell obviously doesn't like Dex. So then it's like, what are you doing, man? Just tell him, you know? But yeah, I think that Dex like in the end, like Dex has kind of like a little bit of a right to be annoyed at JJ, obviously, but I think that he's overdoing it right now. Like he's more annoyed than like what it's worth.
And I mean, Aiysha having Nell having two blokes or sort of fighting over her, that although it's kind of quite prehistoric and everything, there must be quite a part of you that thinks that's quite fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit fun. I guess currently in the storyline that's been aired, Nell's had enough of them. She's a bit like, no, both of you get away. I don't like either of you right now. And I guess like that sort of
Very rightly.
dynamic with Nell obviously having liked JJ and still trying to be his friend as well and not telling Dex because she's obviously embarrassed. I guess just keeping that sort of friendship dynamic, but also having Nell sort of underlaying of, I still like you though. Sort of vibe.
I mean, it's great to see because it's a great excuse for you guys to get to work together. So I imagine you'd love that. But if you guys were to give your characters any advice at the moment, I mean, what would you say? I mean, we'll come to you first, Riley. But what advice would you give to JJ with the whole situation that's going on?
Uh, just tell Dex to suck it up. Like he clearly he's not. Yeah, no, it's not happening for him. JJ, if you try, it's gonna happen for you. But you're all good. You get the green light.
Maybe some honesty from JJ.
Yeah, maybe some honesty.
And I mean, Marley, what advice would you give Dex?
Um, or probably honestly don't know. Probably just let it go. Like she just listen to some like Lewis Cabadelli and put your headphones on and just just she doesn't love you, man. Just forget her. It's not worth it.
And Aiysha, what advice would you give Nell at the moment?
Well, I would tell Nell to probably stop trying to fix it herself because it's going nowhere and that she needs a bit of a self-care day. I think that's what that girl needs. Maybe sit down, read a few books and just
Spa day.
distance herself. Yeah.
Tell her that our only options aren't two idiots that live across the street.
I need a spa day.
Now, I think that's a perfect opportunity to end it there, but thank you so much to the three of you for giving up your time. This has been absolute joy for me. But yeah, people need to keep watching Neighbours. It's on here in the UK, Amazon Freevee. It drops 7 a.m. Monday to Thursday. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
no,
much.
thank you.
It was really fun.
Thank you.
Perfect. I'll stop that.